Visión comunal, en contacto con las comunidades.
Venezuela in the news. News from the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela.
Headlines. International boycott disallows Venezuela's access to external financing. Opposition will not wait for the results of the roundtable of dialogue and will go out to the streets. National government is willing to dialogue to establish a new electoral timeline. The international blockade imposed on the Venezuelan government disallows the country's access to international financing, denounced yesterday Minister of Industry and Trade Carlos Farias. Farias alerted that the plot held by the risk-rating companies against Venezuela generate very difficult requirements to comply with in order to obtain financing like any other country does regularly. During the last 3 years, more than $60 billion have been paid by Venezuela to comply with its international commitments, revealed the Venezuelan president Nicolás Maduro. Since 2015, the U.S. banks and the risk-rating companies have intervened for the country risk to increase and declare Venezuela bankrupt. The higher state of the Bolivarian National Armed Forces held a meeting yesterday to determine political actions that guarantee the production and distribution of basic goods in Venezuela. The conclave was held 24 hours after the president informed about the beginning of a series of inspections in all the food processing companies in Venezuela. The Bolivarian National Armed Forces is in charge of the policies of distribution, not only of food but also of medicines. Ultra-conservative sectors maintain a systematic hoarding model that generates isolated shortages of basic goods. Caracas, through a communique, alerted that it won't allow the companies to work below the production capacity. Venezuelan ultra-conservative sectors announced an agenda of protests starting this Friday, after a second workday of dialogue between the government and the opposition. The Democratic Unity Opposition Party Coalition, known by its initials in Spanish MUD, admitted that it will go out to the streets in spite that the Vatican requested a prudent waiting of the results and to lower the discursive aggressiveness. Sectors isolated from the roundtable of dialogue will even protest in Caracas on Thursday, but the call has not been complied with by the traditional conservative parties. Deputy William Hill denounced that the group Voluntad Popular would be behind the violent path that seeks bloody events in the country.
Venezuela in the news.
The Venezuelan president, Nicolás Maduro Moros, expressed his effusive congratulations to President Daniel Ortega for the unobjectionable victory of the Sandinist front in the presidential elections held on Sunday. Maduro also congratulated the new Vice President Rosario Murillo and the worthy people of the Republic of Nicaragua. The Sandinist Front of National Liberation reached the victory with more than 72% of the votes and the national participation of nearly 70%. With only 14.2%, the Constitutionalist Liberal Party became the second political factor with major electoral results in Nicaragua, according to data provided by the Supreme Electoral Council. This was the biggest victory for a president since Evo Morales' victory in Bolivia, with 64% of the votes in 2009. The Venezuelan government would be willing to work during the roundtable of dialogue on the electoral timetable announced by the National Electoral Council, informed yesterday Roy Charterton, member of the Governmental Dialogue Commission. Charterton announced the possibility of a modification of the electoral timetable if it were necessary, but alerted that the issue must be handled with responsibility. There is an immature management of the conversations, and that makes the negotiation more difficult, he alerted. The elections for mayors and governors are scheduled for the first semester of 2017, according to the announced timeline. Also, it was announced that if there were to be a referendum, it would be held during next year's first 3 months.
News from the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela.
Headline: International boycott disallows Venezuela's access to external financing. Opposition will not wait for the results of the roundtable of dialogue and will go out to the streets. National government is willing to dialogue to establish a new electoral timeline.
Venezuela in the news. News from the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela.
Visión comunal, en contacto con las comunidades.